How did the Emissary become the Emissary? The story involves an awoken warrior, ruthless sunbreaker, and when she lost her light was manipulated into a puppet by the Nine. The Emissary is going to be a big part of the Edge of Fate expansion. She's seen in a new trailer breaking free from the constraints of the Nine. Today though, we discuss how she got here in the first place. So the Emissary has a very interesting story that goes back a long ways, since the beginning of Destiny 2, I believe. And it's personally been a while since I even looked into her story, so this was a nice little recap. It all starts in her human days though. Yep, she was originally a human named Nasya Sarwar. During the collapse, she was on the Yang Liwei ship, which collided with light and darkness, entering the distributary pocket dimension and creating the Awoken. She was one of those first Awoken, and she would go by the name then Nasan R. When some of those Awoken returned to the solar system with Marasov to see what remained of Earth and their ancestors, Nasan did too, and became very close with Marasov. She was the Queen's emissary at this point. Her goal was to basically translate Mara's talk and jargon to others to make it easier to understand. Sometimes the Queen of the Reef was quite cryptic. Awoken of the Reef eventually began to spread out, explore what remained of our solar system, and even make their way to Earth. This was often forbidden by Marasov. If you leave the reef, don't come back. Especially if you're going back to Earth. They were ancestors, but there was some animosity there for the way they handled things. Nasan was one of these Awoken who wanted to go to Earth herself. She wanted to be the Queen's emissary there, help them understand Mara's intentions. Mara said, sure, you can go, but like the rest of them, don't come back or we'll throw you in a cell. When Nasan arrived at Earth, she camped out for a few weeks in the wilds with nothing but a pistol and a couple of objects. One night at her campsite, because she looked different, a group of risen early guardians stumbled upon her. And because she looked different, the risen not used to these changed humans in Awoken, they would kill her in her sleep. Sometime later, a ghost would choose to revive Nasan, making her a guardian, where she received her new name, Orin. Orin then joined the Pilgrim Guard, a group of risen who defended humanity from alien invaders like the Fallen, and also the ruthless warlords of the Dark Age and Old Earth. Orin was then known as a Titan, a Sunbreaker, and a Protector. Throughout her guardian life, she began to struggle mentally though, with her position as an Awoken and the meaning of that whole situation. She was now a part of the Pilgrim Guard for a long time, and because she became a guardian, she forgot her entire past life as the Awoken emissary and a part of Marasov's forces. But over time, the Awoken links began to spark her interest. With the help of Namchi Sen, who she formed a bond with through the lore, she tried to sneak back into the reef. They boarded a ship and made their way through the asteroids, but she was captured and brought before Marasov. Mara, of course, recognized her. You are Nasan, but you are changed. You were never supposed to return here after you left for Earth as my emissary, but because you've changed, I see. You're a guardian now, I will forgive you, but you owe me. Orin would pay that favor back in time when Mara sent her to investigate the death of Seer Ido, the Queen's Wrath. She died very mysteriously, and all that was found on her body was a strange coin, which of course is connected to the Nine. Orin's search led her to a cavern where she found what we believe is Zur. The search sends her deep into a sublunar cavern where she finds no enemies, but instead clouds of steam and a half-man with grasping tentacles where his face should be. Forgive them, he rasps as she crushes his windpipe in her fist. Who? She snarls, tightening her grip. His face writhes with glowing urgency. Reminding herself that she came here for answers first and vengeance second, she pushes him away. He staggers, studies, reaches into his robes to draw something out. "Orin," Gull warns, but she's already seen it. She hefts her warhammer and strikes him hard in the chest. It is like hitting a ball off a tee. There is no resistance. He caroms off a dewy boulder with a sickening crunch. That is his spine. He will never stand straight again. And as he hits the ground, a tarnished silver jar slips from his fingers. The sound echoes as it bounces away into the dark. Orin uses a hunting knife and brute strength to puncture the jar's dented lid. She turns it over and pours a thin stream of pale gray powder into her gloved palm. Dust returns. It ever returns, the man chuckles wheezily. She looks up, and he is gone. So this would begin Orin's journey to study the Nine. We get some backstory there with what we believe is Zur, and the reason he stands over in his hunched form is because of Orin. And what she didn't know at the time is that the dust that was in that jar was actually her mother's ashes. From this encounter with the tentacle man, though, she began to experience visions, heard whispers in languages she didn't understand, and she couldn't tell dreams from memory. She begins to get disconnected from Mara, her love Namchi, who was killed by a mysterious alien force, and she leaves her mission of Sir Ido's killer behind. Instead, she realizes something bigger is going on here, and she needed to figure out what it was. It was around this time that Orin met the Drifter, a man who went by many different names at the time. The two bonded with stories and grief, Orin speaking about some of these mysteries with the Nine, and also grieving about Namchi, Drifter there to comfort her in some of those dark moments. But when Orin learned the Drifter ran with the shadows of yore and was a Dredgen himself, she cut off communications.
I'm sorry. I really miss him.
Yeah, me too.
How did you say you knew each other again?
Oh, Namchi and me were buddies. Met in a little dive on Ceres. Used to play cards. He talked about you a lot. Said the Queen trusts you to talk to the Nine for her. That true?
Yeah, sort of. Doesn't seem important anymore.
Yeah. Well, you ever need a shoulder to cry on, I'm here for you.
During the Red War, Orin lost her light, just as all Guardians did. And it's here when the Nine began to manipulate her, guide her on a path to becoming the Emissary. She leaves, and so too does the light. The severance is absolute in its terror. She has not felt such a profound sense of schism. It can be mended. Orin is not your name. The red ships enter. The air is heavy. Now, when you move, you can actually feel the weight of the world. This weight is a gift. You finally have our attention. Her search led her far and wide. She encountered 9 ghosts in the deep system with stories and even deep orbit minds. But somewhere out there, Orin eventually found the 9 themselves, and they spoke to her. You sought us out. In some small way, you found us. But discovery has a price. With curiosity comes consequence. She is not ready. seek judgment, grow. Orin became the emissary of the Nine around this time, transforming into the figure you see here. The Nine tell her that her pain has meaning, that the universe is not ruled by light or dark, but instead by choice, fate, and perspective. Fate seems pretty important, especially given we are heading into the Fate saga itself with the Edge of Fate.
Guardian. Guardian, are you there? This is Orin, of the Firebreak Order, and the Pilgrim Guard before that. I have forced a respite from the Nine. I repeat, this is not their emissary. I've learned much from them. They believe many things that you need to hear, but for all their power, they are no less fallible than a tower consensus meeting. They think light and dark are set to war again. How and why, you would know better than them at this point. You're on the front line. Trust what you see, at your peril. Trust what you're told, at your peril, including anything you hear from this voice. The Nine cannot agree amongst themselves on a course of action, but that doesn't stop them from acting. They're curious about us, learning as much about us as we are from them with every interaction. Be brave, Guardian. You're walking the path. I know you can finish it.
Under the umbrella of the Nine, Orin was changed. No longer Guardian Pilgrim Guard Protector, emissary of Mara Sov. Not a believer in the light and its powers alone. She was now a bridge for the Nine to interact in our worlds. When we first experienced and met her was in the Trials of the Nine, where she would test the Guardian's capabilities. Are they loyal? Are they worthy? The goal was to guide those who at the time could walk a thin line between light and dark, to realize a bigger picture. To test the Guardians and humans, try to teach, and most importantly help the Nine understand the complexity of our lives as a species. They are dark matter streams of consciousness, but they were interested in learning more, for curiosity's sake, but also to try and alter their own existence.
Do you regret this?
What?
Judgment.
I have more agency as an agent than I ever did wielding the light.
You lost everything.
Nothing that ever mattered. I would die for those I love.
You don't understand.
No. The Nine are fascinated by your kind. What can you teach them? Think of Zur as a prototype. I became the next model, a fresh attempt at communication.
Hey, how you living, sister? What can old Drifter do for you today? Wanna play some Gambit?
The Dredgen has visions. They disturb him.
We know about those, huh? You the one causing them? Tell you right now, I don't appreciate what they say.
The gift is showing you what you must see. It is your fate.
No. I make my own choices.
If that is what you want to believe.
Freaking psycho.
Orin also played some other chess pieces, if you will. She returned to gift Drifter the Hall, which was said to be from the Nine themselves. She rekindled some memories they shared long ago, and continued to meet with Mara Sov as the emissary, Mara calling her a shell of her former self, which I guess is true. And through the invitations of the Nine, she tried to reveal more truths to us.
It was a friend once, a confidant.
Guardian down.
Now it is a shell. Avoid falling into schemes of the Nine. Like the curse on my people, their games never end.
So Orin did seek answers involving the Nine in the bigger picture, but they essentially converted her into the emissary without her permission. They spoke through her, although she still retained her own will as Orin herself and relayed dialogue and information to the Guardians. But as we see in New Rite of the Nine lore, the event going on in-game, the emissary has had enough and begins to break free from the constraints of the Nine. stories we'll talk about in a video very soon. But anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this little recap of Orin and how she became the Emissary. I personally forgot about a lot of details, including the Pilgrim Guard and how she even worked with Marsov multiple times. But if you'd like to see some more Destiny news, lore, and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.